Harlan Coben's Runaway opens with a flashback of college student Paige Green meeting a masked man alone inside a classroom. The scene then jumps forward to reveal the same man being brutally murdered. After this, the story moves 1 year into the future, where Paige has run away from home and is living on the streets with her boyfriend. Paige comes from a stable family. Her father, Simon, is a successful businessman, and her mother, Ingrid, works as a doctor. Her younger sister, Anya, is still in high school, while her brother, Sam, is away at college. Simon receives a cryptic text from a man named Dave Devine, who claims to know Paige's whereabouts and demands money in exchange for the information. Keeping this secret from his family, Simon follows the lead to a local park. At the park, Simon finds Paige busking with a guitar. When he approaches her, he notices bruises and cuts on her face and begs her to come home. Paige panics, refuses to go with him, and appears not to recognize him. Her homeless boyfriend, Aaron Corville, intervenes, taunting Simon and preventing him from following her. Enraged, Simon violently attacks Aaron, repeatedly punching him. Bystanders restrain Simon as a social media influencer records the assault, portraying Simon as a man attacking a homeless person. The video quickly goes viral, and Simon is arrested. Paige escapes once again. At the police station, Simon meets his lawyer, Jessica, who warns him about the public backlash. Simon recalls the last time Paige was at home, remembering how distant and changed she seemed before leaving to live with Aaron. Elsewhere, private investigator Alina Ravenscroft kidnaps a woman's dog from a park as part of an investigation. She contacts the owner, Maria Finchley, and arranges to return the dog. Alina visits Maria's vegan restaurant, subtly befriends her, and carefully observes her behavior. During this time, Alina receives a call from wealthy businessman Sebastian Thorpe, who asks for help finding his missing son. As outrage over Simon's assault grows online, Ingrid returns home from work to find Anya facing judgment at school. Simon apologizes to his family for losing control, but insists Aaron provoked him. He later returns to work, consumed by thoughts of bringing Paige home. Meanwhile, detectives Fag Benley and Ruby Todd discover Aaron's body in the apartment he shared with Paige. Aaron was brutally murdered, and Fag Benley believes he willingly opened the door to his killer. The detectives visit Simon at Anya's school and inform him of Aaron's death, questioning him about his whereabouts. At the same time, Alina meets Sebastian Thorpe at his home. Sebastian explains that his 21-year-old son, Henry, was a troubled teenager with a history of drug use and running away, especially after Sebastian remarried. He insists that Henry would not have contacted him willingly. Although Alina tracked Henry's phone, she couldn't locate him, but she agrees to take the case after Sebastian pleads for help. Back at the police station, Simon is interrogated by Fag Benley and Todd, with Jessica present. Simon admits Paige struggled with drug addiction before meeting Aaron, but claims Aaron forced her to run away. He shows no remorse over Aaron's death. Outside, Jessica warns Simon that he needs a solid alibi, as Ingrid was working the night Aaron was killed. Elsewhere, a contract killer couple, Ash and Dee Dee, carry out another murder, deliberately changing their method to confuse the police. Simon returns home, where Anya urges him to talk to Sam. Sam offers to return from college, but Simon insists he stay focused on his studies. That night, Simon and Ingrid take a walk and discuss Aaron's murder. Simon suggests Aaron may have been tortured by a gang. The next morning, they consider the possibility that Paige is connected to his death. Ingrid insists they must find Paige and bring her home. Elena returns to Maria's restaurant while speaking with her partner, Lou, asking him to analyze comments on Henry's Instagram posts to identify his associates. She continues quietly monitoring Maria and taking photos. Later, Simon and Ingrid sneak into Aaron's apartment building, where they meet Cornelius Faber, a friend of Paige. Cornelius lets them inside using a spare key and reveals that Paige was often injured and bleeding when he last saw her. He directs them to Paige's drug dealer, Rocco. Simon and Ingrid confront Rocco and offer him £10,000 for information about Paige. Rocco's partner, Luther, interrupts and threatens them with a gun. Although Rocco tries to stop him, Luther fires a shot at Ingrid. Meanwhile, Elena discovering that the mysterious commenter on Henry's Instagram post is Paige Green. Next, we see Ingrid is rushed into hospital after being shot during the confrontation at Rocco's hideout. Police swarm the scene, examining the drug den and discussing how Simon and Ingrid gained access, including the possible role of Aaron and Paige's neighbor, Cornelius, who helped them enter the apartment earlier. Detectives Fag Benley and Ruby Todd focus on another victim from the scene, Luther, who was also shot. They debate whether Simon pulled the trigger himself in an attempt to cover his tracks. Fag Benley believes Simon is now emotionally exposed and more likely to slip up, making him easier to pressure during questioning. Elsewhere, contract killers Ash and Dee Dee stalk their next target outside a tattoo parlor. Ash murders a man named Damien, staging the killing to look like a failed burglary. However, Dee Dee arrives without a mask, and a young boy notices her face before running away. Fearing exposure, Ash chases the child down and kills him. Shaken but relieved, Dee Dee thanks Ash for protecting her. They steal a car and continue down their kill list. At the hospital, Ingrid's sister Yvonne arrives to support Simon and offers to bring Anya and Sam so they can see their mother. Simon persuades Dr. Stanfield, Ingrid's close friend and surgeon, to let him visit her. Ingrid has survived surgery but remains unconscious in the ICU. Private investigator Elena Ravenscroft meets Sebastian Thorpe to update him on her findings. She tells him that Henry was in contact with Paige Green. Sebastian gives her a flyer he found in Henry's room, advertising a tattoo parlor. Elena later realizes it is the same parlor Ash and Dee Dee visited earlier. She contacts her partner Lou, asking her to dig into the parlor and uncover more about Paige's past. Back at the hospital, Yvonne brings Anya to see Ingrid, who is kept in a medically induced coma. Detectives Todd and Fag Benley arrive separately to question Yvonne and Simon. Todd pointedly notes that Yvonne works closely with Simon and hints at the possibility of an inappropriate relationship. Meanwhile, Fag Benla presses Simon about Luther's shooting. Simon remembers that Cornelius fired the gun to save them, but he lies and withholds that detail. Fag Benley suggests Simon shot Luther himself and reveals that Luther is being treated in the same hospital. Furious, Simon attempts to confront Luther, but Fag Benley stops him. When questioned, Luther claims he remembers nothing about Simon or the shooting. Later, the detectives discuss Simon's potential involvement in Aaron's murder. Fag Benley suspects Luther may have witnessed Simon killing Aaron, but Todd urges caution and instead points to Cornelius as a key helper. When Fag Benley goes to question Cornelius, he finds the apartment empty. Todd then raises suspicions about Dr. Stanfield's unusually close relationship with the Green family. Simon tries calling Sam, but his son ignores him. He tells Yvonne he plans to return to Aaron's building to search for Paige. Anya overhears and angrily confronts Simon, accusing him of obsessing over Paige at the expense of the rest of the family. Elena visits Maria's restaurant again and steers the conversation toward Maria's daughter, Daisy. She questions Maria about her own mother, making Maria visibly uncomfortable. Later, Elena shows Lou a video of Simon attacking Aaron. Lou reveals that Paige had emailed Henry shortly before disappearing. Meanwhile, Sam attempts to sell Paige's guitar, but the buyer mocks him and smashes it. Devastated, Sam remembers happier family moments centered around Paige's music. Yvonne then calls to tell him about Ingrid's shooting. Sam rushes home and angrily blames Simon for putting their mother in danger. Simon later meets Cornelius, learning he is an Army veteran. He asks Cornelius to help him contact Rocco, despite being warned it is dangerous. Detective Todd shares new concerns about Dr. Stanfield with Fag Benley, who confronts the doctor about an argument he had with Ingrid on the night Aaron died. Stanfield insists it was about her workload and abruptly walks away. Cornelius eventually takes Simon to Rocco's family home. Rocco denies knowing where Paige is and orders them to leave. Desperate, Simon offers him £50,000 to bring Paige home. That night, Fag Benley and Todd review CCTV footage showing Ingrid leaving the hospital on the night of Aaron's murder. As Dr. Stanfield sits by Ingrid's bedside, Sam secretly transfers £8,000 using Yvonne's phone. Cornelius tells Simon there was a woman in Aaron's apartment. When they return to investigate, they unexpectedly run into Elena. Meanwhile, Dee Dee studies photos of their victims and selecting the next target, Paige Green and Aaron Corville. Next, we see a flashback to 25 years earlier, revealing Elena Ravenscroft's past as a police officer. During a dangerous raid on a local gang's hideout, Elena helps rescue her colleague Joel, forging a bond that eventually leads to their marriage. The moment establishes the roots of Elena's investigative instincts and the personal loss that continues to shape her. In the present day, Elena sits quietly at Joel's grave, reflecting on their life together before the story returns to the aftermath of the previous episode. Elena encounters Simon and Cornelius outside Aaron's apartment and explains that she is searching for Paige Green, who has been missing for 8 days and was a close friend of Henry Thorpe. Learning about Aaron's murder, Elena questions whether Simon was responsible. Simon denies killing Aaron and demands to know why Elena is involved. She reveals that Paige emailed Henry, warning him not to go to Aaron's apartment and that the message was sent from Maybridge University. This triggers Simon's realization that Paige must have visited Sam at university. Elsewhere, Detectives Fagbenley and Todd review Dr. Stanfield's statement and begin to consider Ingrid as a possible suspect. CCTV footage shows Ingrid leaving the hospital on the night of Aaron's murder and not returning, with her next appearance recorded the following day at the end of her shift. At the hospital, Simon introduces Elena to his family and confronts Sam about Paige. Sam finally admits that Paige came to see him after the park incident, following a fight with Aaron. She stayed with him for 4 days and stole money and belongings from his roommates. Simon is furious that Sam kept this from him. Sam confesses he also lied to Yvonne, who helped cover the costs, and accuses Simon of being the reason Paige no longer trusts him. Privately, Simon tells Elena that Paige also stole jewelry from their home. He claims Ingrid allowed Paige to leave with it to protect Sam and Anya. Elena urges Simon to attend Aaron's funeral, believing Paige may appear there, and asks him to look for a deeper connection between Henry, Paige, and Aaron. She also mentions her plan to investigate the tattoo parlor linked to Henry. The two share a brief charged moment before parting ways. That night, Elena breaks into Maria's house, subtly rearranging items while searching for clues. She finds a photograph of Lou, but Maria soon returns home with her daughter and senses that something is wrong. The following day, Ash and Dee Dee search for their next victim while reminiscing about their childhood in foster care. Dee asks Ash to take her to the last foster home they shared. At the hospital, Fagbenley questions Dr. Stanfield about Ingrid's alibi. Stanfield claims Ingrid left briefly to pick up food for staff, but his hesitation raises suspicion. Simon attends Aaron's funeral and tries to question Aaron's parents about Paige, only to be forcefully dismissed. He later follows Aaron's mother, Enid Carville, and learns she was only Aaron's stepmother. Enid reveals disturbing inconsistencies about Aaron's biological mother and his father Wiley's lies. Meanwhile, detectives confirm that Ingrid did visit the Mexican restaurant on the night of the murder, but left through the back exit. Elena meets Damien's widower, Neil, and bonds with him over shared grief. Neil agrees to check Damien's client records for possible connections. Simon later confronts Wiley, who reveals that Paige was the one who initially contacted Aaron. Meanwhile, Maria discovers footage proving Elena broke into her home, while Ash and Dee Dee reunite with their former foster mother. Elena uncovers that Damien had researched his ancestry, echoing Henry's adoption. Detectives review footage showing a hooded man following Ingrid that night. The episode closes with Simon inside Aaron's caravan, where he finds the jacket Paige wore at the park, confirming she was there far more recently than anyone realized. Next, we see a flashback set 1 year earlier. At a local gym, a young man named Doug Mulzer is ambushed by a masked attacker and brutally beaten. Paige watches in horror as Doug is left bloodied and unconscious. In the present day, Doug is now back on his feet and attending classes at Lanford University. While sitting in a classroom, he notices Simon outside through a window. This sight triggers Simon's memory of dropping Paige off at the university with the rest of the family, unaware of what her life there would soon become. A flashback shows Paige arriving at her dorm for the first time, where she meets her roommates, Katie and Judy. Katie immediately bonds with the Greens and even gives Simon her number, promising to keep in touch. Back in the present, Simon searches for the a cappella group Paige once sang with and tracks down Katie. Though reluctant at first, Katie eventually opens up. Katie insists she does not know where Paige is, but she reveals that it was Paige who actively pursued Aaron, not the other way around. She explains that Paige grew distant from her over time and claims Paige did not begin using drugs until after meeting Aaron. Katie is stunned to learn that Aaron is dead. Simon presses her for help, and she admits Paige seemed deeply worried about problems within her family, leaving Simon confused and unsettled. Elsewhere, Ash and Dee Dee share breakfast with their former foster mother, Mrs. O'Hara. Dee Dee's forced politeness barely masks the tension. At the hospital, Detective Fag Benley visits Ingrid and finds Dr. Stanfield asleep at her bedside, holding her hand. Fag Benley questions the doctor about their relationship and orders him to come in for a formal interview. At the police station, Dr. Stanfield admits that he and Ingrid once had a romantic relationship and claims Ingrid went to his house after leaving the restaurant on the night of Aaron's murder. Todd privately tells Fag Benley she does not believe him, convinced he is lying to protect Ingrid. They decide Simon should be confronted with the possibility of an affair. Back at the Green home, Simon asks Sam to comb through Paige's diary for clues. Sam reveals that Paige marked the day she met Aaron with the letter A and repeatedly referenced something called the Family Tree Club, along with the initials PVB. Simon notices that PVB appears for the first time shortly after Paige started university. Judy then approaches Simon and explains that Paige was close to her biology professor, Liam Van de Beek, and was part of his Family Tree Club. She also planned to change her major to biology. Shocked that Paige never mentioned any of this, Simon learns that Paige argued with Katie shortly before disappearing. When they go to find Katie, they discover she has abruptly left the dorm, taking all her belongings with her. At the foster home, Dee Dee urges Ash to lie low as police search for Damien's killer. She pushes him to confront his childhood trauma, but Ash refuses. Elsewhere, Talbot tells Elena that Damien was adopted, strengthening Elena's belief that Henry, Damien, and Aaron are somehow connected. Back at the university, Simon learns that Professor Van de Beek is on an extended break. Attempting to break into the professor's cabin, Simon instead encounters Doug, who offers to help search for Paige. Doug confirms that Van de Beek had sexual relationships with students, suggesting Paige may have been one of them. Furious, Simon calls Elena, who urges him to stay calm as she meets Sebastian Thorpe. Sebastian confirms Henry was adopted through the same agency as Damien and is devastated by Damien's death. Simon and Elena later meet at Maria's restaurant to compare notes. Maria is the result of an affair between Elena's late husband, Joel, and Maria's mother, a secret Lou helped conceal. Simon sympathizes before leaving to continue his search for Van de Beek. He recalls a past argument with Paige about inappropriate photos she sent, during which she accused him of invading her privacy. Fag Benley confronts Simon about Ingrid's affair with Dr. Stanfield, leading Simon to wonder whether Paige knew the truth and whether it drove her away. Maria later calls the police on Elena for breaking into her house, resulting in Elena's arrest. Meanwhile, Dee Dee forces Ash to confront Mrs. O'Hara about the abuse they suffered. When Mrs. O'Hara shows no remorse, Ash kills her and the pair bury her in the yard. At the hospital, Simon questions Yvonne about Ingrid's affair and even wonders if Paige might not be his biological daughter. Yvonne denies any knowledge. That night, Todd and Fag Benley discuss Aaron's murder, noting the high-caliber weapon used and suspecting Cornelius, an Army veteran. Meanwhile, Ingrid rushed into surgery again, and Doug looking at old photos on his phone, revealing intimate pictures of himself and Paige. In a flashback set 3 weeks earlier, we saw Dee Dee is confined inside a secluded asylum controlled by the cult known as the Shining Truth. The group is led by Casper Vartej, revered by followers as the One. His son, called the Visitor, addresses Dee Dee as Holly and assigns her a mission. She is to help eliminate a list of people. Dee Dee works alongside her friend Ash, who is promised cash payments for each killing. Back in the present, Dee Dee and Ash travel toward their next target. Dee Dee forces Ash to thank the cult's leaders, but he dismisses the group as a cult. Offended, Dee Dee demands respect for her faith, while Ash accuses her of being dangerously superstitious. At the hospital, Simon struggles to process what he has learned about Paige and Ingrid. Yvonne urges him to tell Sam and Anya the truth about Ingrid's declining condition, but Simon refuses, fearing it will harm them emotionally. Elena is released from police custody and meets Lou, who admits she only learned of Joel's affair after his death. Lou insists Joel never intended to acknowledge his illegitimate child. Elena refuses to forgive her and asks Detective Talbot to investigate another suspicious death, Kevin Gano, an adopted adult who died under unclear circumstances. Elena later speaks with Simon at the hospital, revealing that several victims, including Henry, used a DNA service called Discovered Ancestry. Simon begins to wonder if the victims are connected to Paige. He admits Ingrid was unfaithful and suggests Aaron may have been adopted, though he lacks proof. Detectives Fagbenley and Todd discuss Cornelius. Fagbenley reveals Cornelius was once his neighbor, a decent man who unraveled after his wife's death. Todd fears Cornelius tortured Aaron, but Fagbenley remains protective. While driving, Dee Dee explains more of the shining truth and mentions an upcoming ritual for the women. At the hospital, Simon traces Paige's credit card records and discovers a payment to Absolute Ancestry, confirming Elena's suspicions. Alarmed, he asks Jessica to secretly arrange DNA tests for his children. Fagbenley visits Cornelius, who describes how grief destroyed his family. He admits shooting Luther to protect the Greens but denies killing Aaron, claiming Simon assaulted Aaron but did not murder him. Fagbenley warns him against vigilante justice. Simon collects toothbrushes from his family for DNA testing and finally tells Sam and Anya about Ingrid's surgery. Sam lashes out, accusing Simon of control and blaming him for Paige's addiction and Ingrid's injuries. At cult headquarters, Dee Dee is taken away for a ritual while Ash meets Mother Adiona, who urges him to join the Shining Truth if he wants a future with Dee Dee. When Ash reacts violently, guards knock him unconscious. Elena visits the adoption agency, where Henry and Damien were adopted. The director, Maish, denies knowing them or Aaron and threatens to call the police. Elena secretly leaves behind an earphone and overhears Maish speaking to someone named Allison about the murders. Tracing the call, Elena locates Allison's retreat. Sam later apologizes to Simon, who continues searching for Professor Van de Beek. Fagbenley admits to Todd that Cornelius shot Luther, prompting Todd to warn him against shielding a criminal. Simon gives Jessica the DNA samples and asks for Paige's test to be prioritized. He then meets Katie, who reveals Paige began using drugs after clashing with Professor Van de Beek. She claims the professor previously pursued her before targeting Paige, though she withholds his email. Elena confronts Allison, who claims she saved Damien, Aaron, and Henry, but refuses to explain. When threatened with police involvement, Allison flees. Ash wakes to Adiona's apology before being brought to the One, who offers greater resources and adds more names to the kill list. Adiona secretly leaves Ash a note, urging him to stop killing and never trust Dee Dee. Meanwhile, we see Cornelius dumping the murder knife into the ocean, as Fagbenley remains torn over who truly killed Aaron. In a flashback, we see Elena and Joel on a date, happily discussing their future and their upcoming wedding. In the present day, Elena reflects on those memories as she continues her search for Allison, who remains hidden and on the run. At the greenhouse, Simon finds an old photograph of Ingrid with Dr. Stanfield, sparking new suspicion. Determined to protect his children, Simon makes an effort to keep Sam and Anya distracted from the trauma surrounding their family. Elsewhere, Ash and Dee Dee locate weapons that the Shining Truth had hidden for them. As they talk, Ash urges Dee Dee to abandon the cult. Their argument intensifies, and Ash secretly conceals the fact that Dee Dee herself is the next person on his kill list. Detective Todd is unsettled when Fagbenley admits he no longer believes Simon murdered Aaron. The two begin reconsidering other suspects, including Rocco and Luther. Meanwhile, Elena tracks down Allison's assistant and blackmails him into revealing Allison's whereabouts. He points her toward the home of Allison's girlfriend. Simon later confronts Dr. Stanfield, calmly asking why Ingrid was at his house on the night Aaron was killed. Stanfield admits they were discussing something personal, but refuses to elaborate. Elena contacts Lou and asks her to dig into Allison Mayflower and her ties to the adoption agency, as well as locate Allison's girlfriend, Stephanie. Elena refuses to engage with Lou on any personal matters. Detective Talbot informs Elena about Kevin Gano, another adoptee whose death was ruled a suicide. Elena notices bullet wounds in the photos and suggests Kevin may have been murdered. Fagbenle and Todd interrogate Luther, whose agitation when Paige's name is mentioned convinces them he is hiding something. Elena later tells Simon that Kevin, Aaron, Henry, and Damien were all adoptees searching for their biological parents. DNA results reveal that Damien shares 25% DNA with the others, confirming they were half-brothers. Simon struggles to link Paige to the case, while Elena decides to visit Kevin's home for answers. At the hospital, Sam and Anya confess they tricked Professor Van de Beek into meeting them at Brookbridge University. Simon rushes there and confronts the professor about his relationship with Paige. Van de Beek claims Katie was obsessed with him and insists Paige only sought tutoring before falling into addiction. Pressed further, he reveals Paige was drugged and raped at a party, an event that shattered her and led to her substance abuse. Simon is devastated. The professor explains that Aaron later attacked Doug to protect Paige, believing Doug was responsible for the assault. Simon recalls meeting Doug and begins to suspect his involvement. Elena visits Kevin's neighborhood and learns two people were seen sitting in a car outside his home shortly before his death. She continues searching for Allison but does not find her at Stephanie's house. Simon informs detectives Fagbenle and Todd about Paige's rape and Doug's possible role. Though lacking enough evidence to arrest Doug, the detectives promise to continue pursuing him. Fagbenle privately admits to Todd that he protected Cornelius after Luther was shot, believing Cornelius to be a good man. Todd warns him there will be consequences if he is wrong. Lou later reveals to Elena that Joel never had an affair with Maria's mother. He donated sperm. Joel kept the truth from Elena because of her infertility. Lou asks Elena to meet Maria. Simon prepares to collect DNA test results despite Yvonne's concerns. Elena urges Simon to reconcile with Ingrid while there is still time. Elena finally meets Stephanie, who lures her into a car. Inside, Elena realizes she has been deceived. Dee Dee is posing as Stephanie. Dee Dee drives her to a secluded cottage. Cornelius visits Simon and claims Paige killed Aaron. He admits he saw Paige leaving the apartment and took the murder weapon to protect her. At the cottage, Ash points a gun at Elena. A gunshot echoes as the episode cuts to black. In a flashback set 3 weeks earlier, Dee Dee is handed a hit list by a member of the Shining Truth, a moment viewers have seen before. This time, however, it is revealed that Mother Adiona was secretly listening. Later, Adiona tracks down a man named Nathan and urgently warns him that Ash and Holly are coming to kill him. Nathan dismisses her as unstable and drives away. In the present day, Ash and Dee Dee bury Elena's body. They search her phone and find a text from Simon, then look him up and discover his viral video. Realizing Aaron, one of their targets, was connected to Simon, they grow uneasy. Around the same time, Simon receives the DNA test results confirming that Paige, Sam, and Anya are all biologically his children. He texts Elena with the news, unaware that Ash and Dee Dee intercept the message and reply. Dee Dee believes Simon may be getting too close to uncovering the shining truth and suggests killing him next. Ash hesitates but stays silent. Simon senses something wrong with Elena's replies and contacts Lou. Lou explains that Elena last told her she was meeting Allison's girlfriend, Stephanie, in a car park and even sent the license plate number. The final message claiming she was fine felt out of character. Simon agrees the texts he received seemed off, and Lou promises to keep investigating. At the hospital, Cornelius tells Simon that Rocco and Luther want to meet him at the estate and are demanding the cash Simon promised. Meanwhile, Lou goes to the police to file a missing person report. She informs detectives Fagbenle and Todd that Stephanie is actually on holiday in Brazil, making Elena's supposed meeting impossible. Convinced Elena walked into a trap, the detectives begin searching for leads. Fagbenle and Todd speak with Sebastian, who mentions a letter Henry received from a woman named Victoria asking to meet. The detectives track her down. Elsewhere, Ash confronts Dee Dee at a bowling alley, showing her mother Adiona's note warning him not to trust her. Dee Dee finally tells Ash the truth about the shining truth. She explains that Caspar Vardage, the One, is dying. His divine sons, the Visitor and the Volunteer, are meant to inherit everything, but Caspar secretly fathered many other sons with women at the compound. Once those children were born, he had them put up for adoption. According to the cult's symbols, all male heirs are entitled to an equal share once Caspar dies. To prevent that, Caspar ordered the killings. Henry, Damien, Kevin, and Aaron were all his sons. Mother Adiona's warning came because one of the targets is her child. Though shaken, Ash follows Dee Dee when they receive orders to kill Aaron first, then Simon. At a cafe, Victoria tells Fag Benley and Todd she is Henry's mother and a former cult member. She was told her baby was stillborn, only to later learn Henry was alive after he found her through a genealogy site. Their secret letters ended when Victoria foolishly revealed the truth to the cult. Back at the hospital, Simon learns that Yvonne and Ingrid both knew Paige had been raped. Feeling betrayed, he barely has time to process it before Cornelius summons him to meet Rocco and Luther. Ash and Dee Dee visit Aaron's old apartment, but realize they are too late. Spotting Simon and Cornelius nearby, they follow them to Rocco's estate. Rocco reveals he heard Paige boarded a bus to Brackmere the day after Aaron's murder. Before Simon can understand why, Ash and Dee Dee ambush them, triggering a brutal shootout. Rocco, Luther, and Ash are killed. Dee Dee's shock over Ash's fatal injury gives Simon and Cornelius a chance to flee. Dee Dee pursues Simon and shoots him in the back. As she prepares to finish him, Mother Adiona suddenly appears and pushes Dee Dee from the ledge, killing her. Adiona escapes as Simon calls out. We see police heading toward the Shining Truth's compound, armed with the address Victoria provided. Next, Simon is rushed to the hospital after being shot in the back. As paramedics treat him, Simon insists they contact Detective Fag Benley, telling him he has a lead on Paige. At the same time, Fag Benley, Todd, and armed police raid Shining Haven, arresting cult members and leaders. The only person missing is Caspar Vardage, known as the One. Fag Benley eventually finds Caspar hiding in a concealed room. Caspar claims he is already dying and asks to be allowed to end his life, but Fag Benley refuses and arrests him. Despite the arrests, Paige is nowhere to be found. At the hospital, Fag Benley updates Simon on Caspar, the cult, and the existence of his many illegitimate sons, explaining how Caspar hired killers to eliminate them. Fag Benley asks about the woman who saved Simon, Mother Adiona, but Simon denies seeing her. A brief flashback reveals she did visit Simon, and he lied to protect her. Fag Benley also delivers grim news. CCTV footage shows Ash and Dee Dee driving Elena's car, leading police to believe Elena was murdered. Time passes. Simon is discharged, but continues searching for Paige. Elena's body is eventually discovered, and Fag Benley and Todd inform Lou and Simon. Soon after, Simon returns to the hospital and finds Paige sitting quietly beside Ingrid's bed. They reunite emotionally. Paige reveals she has been in rehab the entire time and only returned after learning Ingrid was hospitalized. She admits being home is already triggering and asks Simon to take her back to rehab. Paige explains that after discovering Aaron's body, she panicked and fled. Simon asks how she knew about the rehab center, and Paige reveals she had been there before. She had once tried to get clean, but Aaron found her there, drugged her while she slept, and took her away the next day. She learned about the facility through Ingrid, who once attended it herself, something Simon never knew. On the drive back to rehab, Simon asks Paige if Aaron ever abused her. She admits it happened once, after Aaron learned about his half-brothers. Simon senses she is withholding something. Paige finally claims she killed Aaron, but Simon refuses to believe her. She admits she went to Ingrid for help after the assault. The next day, she found Aaron dead and assumed Ingrid had killed him. She begs Simon to keep this secret, and he reluctantly agrees. Later, Ingrid wakes from her coma as Elena's funeral is held. Paige eventually returns home from rehab. Simon and Ingrid take a walk together, where Simon confronts her. Ingrid admits she killed Aaron to protect Paige. She explains she asked Paige to return to rehab and arrange Dr. Stanfield as an alibi before going to Aaron's apartment. Luther later shot Ingrid because he believed she was dangerous. Ingrid says she kept Simon out of it so he could protect their children if she was caught. They agree to have no more secrets. Still uneasy, Simon visits Yvonne's house and discovers an old photo of a pregnant Ingrid at Shining Haven. He confronts Paige, who reveals Aaron was never her boyfriend. He was her half-brother. Simon learns this after speaking to Doug, who recalls Aaron shouting, "No one hurts my sister." Paige explains Ingrid once told her she was in a cult and believed her baby was stillborn. Paige reveals Aaron was abused by his father and emotionally unstable. She believes he got her addicted to drugs to prevent her from leaving him and possibly to punish Ingrid. Paige insists Ingrid must never learn Aaron was her son, as it would destroy her. Though conflicted, Simon agrees. The series ends with the Green family sharing dinner together as Simon sits quietly, overwhelmed by the truth he must carry.